Hello all, welcome to Weight Stigma Awareness Week. You might have noticed that this audio is not accompanied by any visual, and you cannot see the human behind the voice. We have deliberately chosen to do this to discuss weight stigma because weight stigma can have an effect on anyone. Weight stigma, also known as weightism, weight bias, and weight-based discrimination, defined by NEDA, is discrimination or stereotyping based on one's weight, especially larger or thinner people. Weight stigma reflects on internalized attitudes towards body size that affect how those who are the targets of bias are treated. Why does talking about this matter? According to NEDA, weight stigma is possibly the most endorsed, medically and socially reinforced, promoted form of discrimination that exists. This is not to minimize other forms of discrimination, however. Whether subtle or overt, weight stigma induces, in a most visceral, painful manner, a sense of shame, isolation, defectiveness, alienation, and humiliation. As a member of the Association for Size Diversity and Health and a recognized Health at Every Size treatment center, we offer a weight-neutral and size-inclusive approach to eating disorder recovery. We have brought stories to share from those who are on the journey towards recovery and their own experiences with weight stigma. I've always been bullied for my body size. I always weighed the most out of all of my friends. My friends would always talk about how I was heavier and would make me feel bad. We would play games where we would carry each other and no one would let me play. I feel like weight stigma is everywhere. Even with all the plus size models now, they still have the same shape.
A ton of my weight stigma experiences have been medical. Outside of Living Hope, I've probably only had 2 or 3 medical experiences where my weight was not brought up, regardless of why I was there. They always find a way to bring it into the conversation completely unsolicited. In my family, this has been happening my entire life. My grandma used to try to bribe me with things to lose weight. She wouldn't tell me how to lose weight or give me any direction, but she would say things like, if you do this good behavior, which meant to make my body smaller, I'll reward you with special experiences. In my teenage years, I would be lectured about my weight and eating and be encouraged and rewarded for dieting. In my adulthood, people started having conversations about how worried they were for me and how sick I would become. When I would diet and lose weight to get smaller, that is when I experienced them being proud of me. There was a direct correlation between dieting and losing weight and their verbally expressed love towards me. That has been very challenging.
I have had fewer opportunities to perform my music, not to mention less confidence to do so. When I lost a lot of weight in college, every single person congratulated me on how quote-unquote healthy I was, not knowing that I was using several destructive behaviors like purging repeatedly throughout the day. Nobody thought to suggest I might need help. There are things I haven't done because I have felt too self-conscious to do them.
I feel like if I gain any weight, I think that I am fat. I had a mindset that I had to lose as much weight as possible.
Weight stigma is a huge part of what kept me trapped in my eating disorder, going through vicious cycles of food restriction and obsessive exercise so I could try to make my body fit society standards. Family would joke around me for being too fat or skipping meals. Diabetes runs in my family, and since my mom was at risk, she would work out and lose weight, and everyone would tell her how great she looked. So then I learned overweight and fat must mean ugly. Later, a doctor saw my charts before and after I weight restored and said he noticed I had gained weight. He went on to ask if that was a good thing, and the way he worded it, I knew he was saying being bigger was bad.
Buying clothes is always hard. I'm very limited on where I can go and where I can shop. I always have been, to the point of even when I was a kid, I had to wear clothes that were for older people because children's clothes did not fit my body. So when I wore older clothes, they were not age appropriate for me. Traveling is always hard. The way people look at you when you're walking onto an airplane, having to ask for a seatbelt extender, yeah, it's not a pleasant experience. It's a very unpleasant experience, actually. It makes other things very difficult. Access is difficult, like needing to have an MRI for my back. I can't do it because things are not built for my body. Chairs and furniture, when I walk into a room, I immediately start looking around to see if there's somewhere to sit. Seating is not inclusive, restaurants are not inclusive, they are not accommodating.
I have experienced weight stigma in a host of situations, while shopping for clothing and trying to find something my size that didn't look bland, shopping for food when an older man looked into my cart and told me I shouldn't be shopping while I was hungry because there was no way I needed all that food, even though I was shopping for 5 people. At family get-togethers when I had an aunt criticize my food choices at every meal.
At school and on social media, specific to TikTok, there are many people who promote weight stigma and glorify eating disorders. It is really triggering to myself and others.
I've experienced weight stigma in healthcare, with friends and family, in education, transportation, social media, and in clothes. In the doctor's office, you've got the blood pressure of a teenager. Now, if you could just lose the weight. Weight stigma in my professional field of public health is horrible. I'm surrounded by fat shaming and diet culture sourced healthy food tips every single day. It's part of public health's mission. It sucks to know that across the hall from my office is a person in obesity prevention position. Their entire job is to prevent people from looking like me, from having a fuller body, to create this idea that my body type is something to be abhorred. Weight stigma in my field is determined to keep me from ever existing through any disordered, uninformed, unscientific, untruthful means necessary, and nobody sees it a problem but me. Weight stigma has put a weird, unrealistic, unreachable, double standard on all of us. In school, being skinny is cute, but you can't be too skinny. You can't be skinny and flat, you should be curvy, but only in your hips. Skinny people also get made fun of a lot at my school. They're called twigs. You want to be curvy, but not too curvy.
I didn't realize how much it impacted society until I started learning about health at every size. I just thought it was right. I thought that as someone in a bigger body, I deserved to be shamed for it and just had to accept it and strive to fit in. I thought I was deserving of it whenever my family or a doctor would bring it up, or whenever I would be solicited for some kind of multi-level marketing weight loss scheme. We are taught that this is right. You should be striving towards being smaller. Everyone should be striving towards that goal, and if you're not, then you're doing it wrong. I've even experienced people being surprised that I'm married before.
Weight stigma is a terrible tool used to oppress entire groups of people, manipulating them into spending their money on diets and beauty products when that money could have gone towards a million other things that would enrich our lives, like traveling, hobbies, charity, experiences with friends and loved ones. People in larger bodies feel like they're morally bound to lose weight, and people in smaller bodies want to lose weight so they don't get discriminated against like those in larger bodies.
Weight stigma makes anyone think that they have to have society's ideal body to be quote-unquote healthy.
Weight stigma is killing children. Eating disorders have the highest mortality rates of any mental illness, and all we can talk about is childhood obesity. Imagine if you were a kid in a bigger body. How would hearing that you're inherently wrong from all the adults around you make you feel? That's what I grew up with. That's what we're saying to innocent children. Elementary school kids shouldn't be worried about what shape their bodies are. We should teach them to love themselves as much as they are taught to love others. Stop telling innocent, impressionable children there's something wrong with not fitting into society's narrow box of what a body should look like. They're not even done growing. Their brains haven't finished developing, much less their little bodies. Stop shoving photoshopped magazine covers of celebrities worth millions who get the privilege of spending their days with personal trainers and personal chefs down our throats. They're not real. None of that is real. How dare we hold those lies called photo shoots and Instagram selfies up to our children as idols and body ideals? Shame on us. Every child should know that they and their body are absolutely beautiful. Give them fresh air and strong friendships and space to stretch their imagination, but for God's sake, stop giving them good food, bad food labels and diet plans. Weight stigma keeps people in larger bodies with an eating disorder from getting the referrals and help we need to get better. We're encouraged to engage in disordered, harmful behaviors because we don't look like we have an eating disorder. And for the love of God, stop weighing us and go read some actual scientific articles on the science of weight and health at every size, doctors. You owe it to your patients after all the harm you've done to us. Doctors take an oath to do no harm, but because they continue to listen to diet culture and cherry-picked inaccurate science, seriously, you're still using BMI? They do nothing but harm patients in larger bodies. They ignore serious medical concerns and tell us to lose weight, to change our bodies, to fix ourselves. Doctor, you would never treat a patient in a smaller body the way you treat me. Shame on you.